10 habits that if you keep doing, you will be poor forever. Hello everyone, welcome back to another interesting video. Today, I'm going to talk about 10 bad habits that make you poor. So let's dive in. Number 10, making excuses. If you've ever had to make excuses for why you're poor, chances are you're making excuses for it. That doesn't mean that all of your problems can be solved by just not making excuses. However, if your financial situation prevents you from enjoying life, it's time to stop making excuses and get started. You're thinking, I don't make excuses. I work hard. I'm just not in a good place right now. If this sounds familiar, you probably made excuses before, which is okay. We all do it at some point or another. But once we realize that we're doing it, it's time to stop. Admitting that you have a problem is the first step. So let's get started. Make sure you stop making excuses for why your finances aren't where they ought to be. This might seem like it will naturally happen over time, that once you admit that something is wrong, things will improve. But this isn't the case. Change takes time and effort. But making excuses isn't just a mental trap. It's also an obstacle that stops you from creating the life you want. When you say it's too hard, I don't have enough time, and why even bother trying? You're actually preventing yourself from getting what you want out of life. By making excuses, you create the illusion that some outside force is hampering your progress, rather than taking a look at your own thoughts, feelings, and behaviors. In reality, you are stifled by your own mindset and habits. It's hard to admit that you have control over something as stands. You can't do much if someone is keeping you down. And if you are holding yourself back, then that means all you need to do is change. Number 9, being afraid to take risks. A lot of people assume that being poor is all about not having enough money. While that's true, it's also a symptom of a whole bunch of other factors. One of the biggest contributors to poverty is fear. Risk-averse people tend to stay in jobs that do not pay well, and they end up with less income overall than someone who was willing to take a chance to earn more money. Also, they may not want to take initiative, or may not want to take on the stress of trying something new, for people feel comfortable staying in their comfort zones and avoid being exposed to the outside world. For them, it's easier to stay in one place than to try something new and fail. But when you're living like that, it doesn't make sense that you'd be making enough money. Over time, something has to change if you have high expenses and low income. Number 8, your goals are too big. Setting goals is crucial to success. So it's great that you're thinking about yours, but be careful. If you set the bar too high, you might do more harm than good. Setting a goal means moving forward. You may feel paralyzed when you have a huge and overwhelming goal. Consider this. If you want to learn how to drive a car, your first lesson won't be driving across town in rush hour traffic. Your first lesson will be learning how to operate the car and handle basic traffic situations like parking and turning at stop signs. In other words, start smallish and work your way up to bigger things. Number 7, being around unsuccessful or unambitious people. Birds of a feather flock together. That saying is a cliche for a reason. It's true. That's because when it comes down to it, people are their habits and the people they surround themselves with. You will never reach your potential if you're surrounded by unambitious people who don't know what it takes to succeed. Successful people think differently than unsuccessful ones. Their minds are wired to always see opportunities, whereas others only see problems. This gives them an advantage in spotting trends and making money. Knowing how the world works allows them to excel. If you want to change yourself, start with your surroundings. To accomplish this, join a group or organization where people already share this common goal. The options here are many meetup groups, mastermind groups, professional organizations and associations, industry-specific groups, and so on. Whatever group you choose, what matters most is that it's a place where people come together. Something in this case should be the desire to make more money and improve their financial situation. Number 6, giving up because of one setback or failure. When we were kids, we'd have projects to do in school. We'd work our fingers to the bone to get everything done just right. But when we finally handed them in, if they got to low grade, we would often just give up. We forget about the project and move on to something else. Instead of giving up, what if you figured out why you didn't get the grade you wanted? What if you had asked questions, done more research, made revisions, and resubmitted your work? The neuroscientists who discovered mirror neurons called them the social glue of our species. When you see someone yawn, for example, you'll probably onto because your brain mirrors what theirs is doing. As with watching someone attempt it again, after failing, your brain mirrors their perseverance. But observing someone give up after failing at something once will make your brain think it's not worth trying again. Number 5, looking for a get-rich-quick scheme. Wealth is not a zero-sum game, and looking for a get-rich-quick scheme will just keep you poor. You might think that getting rich is a zero-sum game where when someone gets rich, that means someone else is getting poor. But wealth isn't like that at all. In fact, wealth is created all the time. Even in the stock market, where a trade that makes one investor richer and another investor poor doesn't actually create any new money, only shifts that around. Trying to get rich quickly can lead to problems later when you don't have enough money for a dignified retirement or family support. While searching for easy ways to make money, you're not investing in your future. So it's difficult to save money for retirement. Hence, it's important to save today so that you can provide for yourself in the future. Number 4, not taking responsibility for your life. Do you ever find yourself thinking, I would be successful if only my partner would stop getting in the way? My boss made it so hard to do my job, right? You don't need to wait for some external factor to change before you can take control of your life. In fact, you'll achieve your goals more quickly if you take responsibility for your happiness and success. By blaming others, you are leaving yourself powerless to make changes, instead of getting caught up in what other people are doing wrong. Try focusing on what you can do differently. Think of a way you can improve things. Moreover, when we blame others for our problems, we usually feel helpless and hopeless, instead of empowered and motivated. Taking responsibility makes us feel we have a role to play and gives us a sense of achievement. Number 3, spending money on things you don't need. The problem with some people is they just don't know when to stop spending money. They go out and buy a new computer and then get a new cell phone a week later. And then they're on the internet buying some useless trinket that they don't really need. Then once they've wasted their money on these things that aren't necessary, they wonder why it doesn't seem like they have any money left over. There are a lot of reasons why people do this, but it all comes down to the fact that you are keeping yourself poor by wasting your money buying things that you don't actually need. To stop this, you need to take a look at what you already own. If there are things that you haven't used in months, then those items are probably not worth keeping around at all. You may want to sell them or donate them to charity instead of letting them sit around collecting dust. Also make sure that whatever new item you purchase has some kind of purpose in your life right now. Number 2, comparing yourself to others in terms of money. Let's be real. We're all guilty of comparing ourselves to others from time to time. Whether it's an Instagram shot of a beautiful beach, or our best friend just got a killer new job, there's always someone who seems to have a perfect life. But according to research by Dr. Thomas Gilovich of Cornell University, comparing yourself to those with more than you have the potential to keep you stuck at a lower income level and make you pretty unhappy in the process. Gilovich did 2 separate studies, one focused on adults and another on adolescents. In his first study, he asked people what they valued more, being around friends and family or being around people with more money than them. As it turns out, participants stated that they were happier when hanging out with friends and family, even if those friends and family were relatively poor compared to the participants themselves. The second study found that adolescents who spent more time hanging out with their peers instead of adults had higher self-esteem and better social skills than their peers who spend more time with adults compared to other kids their age. If you've enjoyed it so far, please like this video and leave a comment. What is your best way to save money? Number 1, you don't adhere to a budget. Budgets help people compare their earnings to their expenses. Spending should be in line with income if a budget is not in place. Spending without discipline may also lead one to splurge on less important items only to discover there is no money to pay for more essential living expenses. Or discretionary items. The monthly debt obligations can escalate and create an even greater demand on income, culminating in a domino effect. Budgets are also essential for saving for medium-term goals and long-term retirement. Having no budget makes it difficult for someone to set aside money for these purposes. The need to continue earning an income later in life could cause retirement to be delayed. Establishing a budget is necessary before setting aside emergency funds or saving up for a house or car. A lack of a budget can also result in a lack of wealth building over time and a lot of stress when bills and debts are piled up. Alright, I hope this video helps you to understand what you should avoid and what you should do for a better future. If I did, please make sure to hit the like button and subscribe button. Thanks for watching, and see you next time.